Well, it turns out that my Marvel intro can now be applied when I'm talking about comics as well. It's the gift that keeps on giving. Let's discuss.
Our content sucks. Our content sucks.
I watch so you don't have to.
All I'm offering is the truth, nothing more.
So I actually woke up this morning feeling like I'm in some kind of alternate universe. Either that or Marvel is trolling us all. Or maybe Marvel has become such a joke that they are basically now a meme come to life. I can't be sure. I'm starting to think that some of these creative decisions that a lot of these entertainment companies are making aren't necessarily out of stupidity. Well, maybe some of them are. But if I try to break down what I think they are thinking when they make decisions like this, I have to believe at this point that they know in their minds that outrage culture is at an all-time high, and any publicity is good publicity to them. And that is true to a degree because even stupid like this gets people talking.
That makes sense.
The subject of race swaps feels like it has been an online debate for years now, and with Marvel's latest decision, it's not going away anytime soon. In today's world where a lot of people seem to be race obsessed and volatile, some people have planted their flag in the idea that race swaps are a good thing because it adds diversity to our media, while other people are encouraging these companies to stay true to the source material. There has actually been instances where race swaps were almost largely accepted, or just not talked about as much, and it usually comes when a talented storyteller does it as a creative decision and has the material to back it up. It is not usually accepted when it is a studio-mandated decision so they can keep up the appearance that they care about diversity. You can tell when it's disingenuous and when it feels real.
It's true.
My only real argument against it from the beginning comes when we have these iconic characters that are being adapted to live action for the first time. Iconic characters that some longtime fans would probably want to see a more traditional version of before we start making changes. Now, some people scoff at that idea and say, well, the race of the character should not matter. And now I can simply respond to those people and say, do you feel the same way about the news we're going to talk about today? So in the Marvel Knights The World to Come arc in the comic books, T'Challa's son Katima has made his debut. In the story, Katima challenges T'Challa for Wakanda's throne and wins, becoming the new Black Panther. Katima is depicted as a white man with blonde hair, which has sparked some controversy.
That's racist.
Now, I'm not going to pretend to know anything about modern Marvel comics, because I don't. So someone who is more well-informed will have to fill me in on whether or not this is a Elseworlds multiverse situation, or if it's the main Marvel universe. But no matter what way you look at it, it appears that we now have a canon-accurate depiction of an online joke. Welcome to 2025. Black Panther is officially a white guy, at least for now, in the Marvel Comics universe. Now, I don't know if this is going to end up being some roundabout, heavy-handed commentary on colonization, or some kind of meta-commentary on race swap characters in general, but no matter what way you slice it, like most of these lazy decisions, this one feels like one of the dumbest yet. I mean, they had to know what the reaction was going to be, regardless of the intent behind it.
What were they thinking?
They had to know that nobody has patience, no one is going to let the story play out, and see where this goes. Because in the society that we currently find ourselves in, decisions like this only serve to throw fuel on an already raging fire. Plus, I know a lot of recast T'Challa folks out there, a movement I happen to support, but they're probably thinking to themselves, this is just another situation where it feels like Marvel is undermining T'Challa's significance and trying to push him out of his role as the predominant black superhero in the Marvel universe. A lot of people probably feel like this decision is validating a lot of people on the internet that they would rather not validate. It's amazing how a decision like this can open up this whole can of worms.
Congratulations, you played yourself.
It's almost always going to create controversy from some angle. So the question remains, why do it at all? What is in it for Marvel to stir up controversy with things like this time and time again? I need you to ask yourself that every time you see something like this happen. On another note, I can't help but think about how Marvel Studios seems to have this obsession with adapting newer comics that a lot less people give a shit about. So would they have it in them in 5 to 10 years to adapt this story to live action? Bringing the memes and jokes full circle and casting someone like Ryan Gosling in the role. It's very crazy to think about, but then again, I'd never thought I'd see something like this play out on any level with the character of Black Panther, but here we are. It does kind of beat home the idea that nobody really gives a shit until it happens to a character or story that you care about. And based on some of the reactions I'm seeing online where people are basically crashing out, it looks like some people are getting a crash course on the manipulative ways of big media companies like Marvel.
My, how the tables have turned.
I think we all need to ask ourselves right now, are the right people in charge of the properties that we love? Do they truly care about preserving these characters that we have so much affection for? Now, I've had my doubts for years when it comes to Disney's occupation of the Marvel brand, and that's in terms of films, comics, or whatever else. The people creating this media right now seem like the type of people who prey on the weaknesses of their audience and try to use that weakness as a way of driving an even bigger wedge in the fandom. Divisiveness is the name of the game in nerd culture right now, which is pretty crazy to think about when you think about how nerd things were looked at pre-MCU success. There was a time when comics and nerd culture things in general was a very niche thing. There is something to be said about the way that these properties have gone corporate now, and I think it's been evident for a very long time.
It's like people only do things because they get paid. And that's just really sad.
And more people seem to be waking up to these ideas that people like myself have been warning everyone about for years. Now, I don't know if the new white Black Panther is a big deal or not in the comics because I don't really have a ton of context, but from afar, having the little bit of details I do, it does in a weird sort of way feel like a culmination of the race swap discussion. Even if it's not technically a race swap in the traditional sense because it is a completely new character. But it is similar to the Sam Wilson situation where new lore dictates that these mantles can be passed to different characters. And for me personally, I just don't have an interest in that. The more iconic and recognizable versions of these characters are what I prefer. And the same goes for T'Challa. I don't want to see his sister as Black Panther. I don't want to see any of his kids as Black Panther, at least not long term. If this just happens to be a one-off to tell a story, then I get it. And I'm pretty sure that that's what this is. And in that case, I think a lot of people are overreacting. But again, Marvel Studios themselves created this environment where people instantly have angst over discussions like this. And now the reaction to these creative decisions has to be considered before you make them. And companies like Marvel have literally created a burden on themselves now to have to validate everyone, and you're just never going to be able to do that.
Y'all be cool. Nah.